Pace car takes that hard left-hand turn on the pit road, and we are green here at Bristol in the NORA B Series playoff race. Corey Wharton with a huge run on Pontiac, and he gets into the 17's quarter panel. The 17 going to track back down the track. It's up into the 20. He's up into the wall, and Corey Wharton up into the wall cannot be happy.
Sorry guys, we couldn't go any lower.
White flag, stage 1.
We are back racing in stage number 2. Dalton Tucker going to take the lead into turn 1 and 2. He's got the 81 machine hot on his tail. Did anyone catch the 24 here tonight? And what a gaggle of cars we have here. It's almost like a parking lot at 150 miles an hour on the straightaways. And they're flying through the corners, still 2x2, almost 3 wide through the corners. John Briscoe in that all-black machine picking his way through the field. Now he's trying to make a move toward the front.
Sorry, 88.
Coming to the start-finish line for stage number 2's completion, and the 24 has had no challengers all night long. Every single lap led by Dalton Tucker at this point, and he will wrap up a stage 1 and a stage 2 victory, setting up a great finale for stage number 3. A little bit longer, as we always talk about, and we'll see how this one goes. Under our stage 2 caution now, buckle up, because we got a great stage 3 coming up.
Let's go!
Good battle for 8th going on here. Matthew George holding off the 17 of Pontiac as they head back in turns 1 and 2. Good run by the 17. He's going to try and get the quarter panel of 28, and he gets all of it. Here goes Matthew George to the inside. Hits that inside retaining wall. And a lot of damage to the 28 Toyota Supra of Matthew George. In the later stages of stage number 3, all 4 of these drivers trying to chase down that lead pack, and everyone's still trying to chase down the 24 of Dalton Tucker.
Rack. My bad, guys.
Seriously?
Getting set to go on lap 231 of 255. Will that have been the last caution of the night? Let's find out. Here's we take the green. Dalton Tucker leading every lap so far. He continues to lead as he heads down into turns 1 and 2. White flag in the air one more time, and this race has been absolutely dominated by Dalton Tucker in the 24. He's going to come home in the checkered flag leading 255 of 255 laps, and that is just an incredible run for Tucker in the 24, and he's going to be sitting pretty in round 2 of the playoffs. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the NORA B series here presented on the J Deadlift broadcast channel. And we're going to bring you the round of 12 as we head out west to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Las Vegas 170 laps around this mile-and-a-half speedway, and it is set to be a good one for you here tonight. You saw what happened last week at Bristol. Dalton Tucker going green to checker, excuse me, all race long. He was able to take home the win. And a good win for him. He's going to be good to go for the rest of this round of 12. It includes tonight at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and next week at the Charlotte Roval. So that could throw a wrench into things for these drivers. As Charlotte Roval, kind of those tricky tracks. Some of these drivers not used to driving on those road courses. We'll see how that gets managed throughout the week. And that's not next week, but that is the following week. Next week, October 7th, is off for these drivers. So they will not be racing next week. But the following week is that round of 12 finale on October 14th, 2020, as we go to the Charlotte Roval. Tonight, however, we head to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, like we mentioned, just outside the Las Vegas Strip. Capacity of 80,000 fans, and you see the stands all filled up for our race here tonight out in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 1.5 miles around this D-shaped oval with the asphalt surface, so pay attention to that, as that is going to chew up the tires throughout the night here tonight, and it is one of the hotter tracks that we go to as well. As we'll get a quick look at the weather before we kick things off here. 89 outside, 91 on the track. We expect that temperature to go down throughout the night, but we wouldn't be surprised if we see the track temp kind of maintain that throughout the night. iRacing does render tire wear based on heat, so keeping the tires cool is paramount for a lot of these guys here tonight to really make those tires last, especially in that third and final stage, which is quite a bit longer than the first two. If this is for some reason your first NORA B Series event, welcome, first of all. And secondly, they do reflect the Xfinity schedule, 85% of the Xfinity schedule, as well as 85% of the fuel load. So what you're going to see is pretty reminiscent of an Xfinity Series race. We do have the stages, 42, 42, and 86. Or excuse me, 88 tonight. Nope, 86. We read that correctly. Sorry about that. 86 in the final stage, 42 in the first two. So you see the guys be able to stretch it for pretty much around 42 laps, able to get through the first and second stages. And then stage 3 will require one pit stop. When that pit stop is yet to be seen. Some guys are able to save enough fuel that they can pit early, other guys not so much. And that's what makes it so much fun, is we can quite often have these fuel mileage races, especially late in that third stage. Getting back to the track, we mentioned 1.5 miles long. We do have progressive banking here tonight. We talk about that kind of week in and week out. What is progressive banking? How does it help you? Progressive banking means down at the bottom, the track is not banked as much as it is toward the top. The idea behind that, making it able to run multiple grooves. You'll be able to run faster on the top groove, but the bottom side is going to be the quickest way around the racetrack. So kind of an interesting little showing we have going on there. And you see turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 all going to have that progressive bank. 12 degrees of banking down at the bottom of the racetrack, all the way up to 20 at the top of the racetrack. So we might see some guys run multiple lines during the practice. Guys like to favor the bottom. Maybe they'll trek up towards that middle, get off of that 12 degrees of bank, because that's not a lot of banking. You start thinking about those really fast tracks in the NASCAR circuit, 26 degrees of banking, 33 on the super speedway of Talladega. I believe it's 30 at Charlotte off the top of my head. So not as much banking as a couple of those bigger 2-mile tracks. And you'll see that kind of make its way into this race. This guys will drift up, drift down, try and find what's going to work for them throughout the night. And you might try something in stage 1, have to try something else in stage 2, and then put it together in stage 3. And that's what makes the stage racing so cool, is maybe you try something in the first round, it doesn't really work, caution comes out, groups the field back up, you reset and try and recalibrate in that second stage. So turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, you see them right there. And start-finish line, kind of an interesting. They can dive below the apron. We might not see it here at Las Vegas. It's not a real commonplace like it is at a Chicagoland or even a Michigan International Speedway for that matter. But I do expect at some point we are going to see drivers go below that white line. That is completely legal here at Las Vegas. So definitely pay attention to that as well. You can see it right there on your screen. That little opening, that little keyhole right by that start-finish line. So I thank everybody who's tuning on in here tonight. Got a good one on tap for you. Pretty good turnout once again, and like we mentioned, a couple of the drivers racing for points, and then those drivers with O's, they're racing for owners points. So not in that drivers championship. What's really cool, what they've done with the NORA B series, is you will see drivers who are racing for those driver points. They will have a red spoiler and a red windshield banner. So we'll be able to pay attention to those guys throughout the night here tonight, which is so very cool to see. So you see it right there on Matthew George's car on the outside. He's got that red spoiler with the red banner. So I'll try and keep you abreast of that as we continue throughout the night. Let's take a look at our starting grid, brought to you by the NORA B Series. The round of 12 at Las Vegas will be led by Bruce Ackerman in the 69 with a lap time of 31.109. Very good lap time for that Twix machine. And we'll see if the 69 can bring it home here tonight. Matthew George in the 28 starts on his outside row 1. And Sean Briscoe will roll off third. He's in the 36. Trevor Apollo in the FedEx Ground number 90 starts fourth. And Corey Wharton, we saw him in the race recap at the start of this broadcast get put into the wall last week. He's going to look for a better result here this week in the number 20. Scott Bellum in the 07, he rolls off in 6th. As we continue on down the grid, Todd Slauson in the 22 rolls off 7th. Brian Powell in the 95 starts 8th. Drayton Cook in the 89 will roll off 9th. Blade Timmons in that 23 Monster Energy machine. And my, is that a good-looking machine. He rolls off in the outside row 5. He starts 10th. Matthew Moniak in the number 13 machine. He will roll off 11th. And Justin White in that number 9. That almost Chase Elliott kind of scheme. That Black Rifle Coffee, Bass Pro Shops. Noah Gregson scheme. He starts 12th. Carrying on down your grid, Tim Abril in the 98 starts 13th. Craig Schroeder in the number 4 starts 14th. Dalton Tucker with a slower lap time than everyone else, 5 seconds slower. So he might be doing that back to front challenge here, trying to stay out of trouble. He rolls off 15th. And Chad Engel with a blistering lap time of 3 minutes 51 seconds starts 16th. Ryan Kendrick will roll off 17th, and that will round out your grid. Martin Plute is here, but he'll be up in the NORA B Series hauler, making all the calls here tonight as your race admin. So Bruce Ackerman going to lead us to the green flag here as we get set to rock and roll from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. For the round of 12, the second of 3 races in the round of 12. And a big time for a lot of these guys to make some ground in the playoffs. Pace car going to take that hard left-hand turn onto pit road. 69 leads the field. Everyone trying to stack it on up. Green flag in the air. And the 69 really stacks them on up. And everyone else stays off each other's bumper. We're going to be 2 by 2 as they head in turns 1 and 2. Good jump right there for Briscoe. He's in that all-black car. Corey Wharton quickly diving to the bottom. We see the bottom groove really making it work here early. Down to the bottom goes Corey Wharton. He's trying to get off of the side draft up from the 28 of George. Looks like he will. George stuck on the high side, nowhere to go, and he's drifting backward. He's under attack from Bellum in the 07 now as they go door-to-door down the front straightaway. Right behind him, it's an angry group of cars. The 23 of Blade Timmons holding off the 13 and the 89. That's Moniak and Cook. Both very good-looking paint schemes. Don't look now. Here comes Dalton Tucker in the 24, already picking his way through the pack. He's up to 12th. Tucker up to 12th, but you see on these new tires, everyone just able to whiz it around this racetrack, and that's going to lead to some aggressive driving. We're already seeing it here early. I'll be curious to see if we continue to see that throughout the night, or if things start to settle on down here as this race continues. You can see up in front, the top really 8 cars holding their own there and going single file, but further on back, the 23 and the 24. Door to door as Moniak looks in his rearview mirror and sees the points leader, Dalton Tucker, in the 24. Trying to clear him. A little bit of smoke up ahead. Not quite sure who that was for. Looks like everyone's still safe down that back straightaway. As we continue to watch this battle rage on for 9th and 10th. Here comes Tucker to the high side. He's got Moniak on the bottom. Powell right in front of him in that all-black machine. That's going to be scored the 95 machine up on your ticker at the top of the screen. Powell going to lose the position of Tucker here. Tucker trying to sneak on around. Moniak in the 13. Continues to hold on, and we're going single file here at Vegas, but big move by Brian Powell right here as he dives back to the bottom, chops the nose of the 24 on off, and he's going to jump right back into that spot. Dalton Tucker not able to get that run he wants just yet. Checking back in on your leader. It's now Sean Briscoe in that all-black machine with that green trim. You'll see the red trim as the 95 of Brian Powell, but definitely very easy to mix up, and we'll try and keep those sorted for you. Corey Wharton has made his way all the way up to third place now, the number 20 machine with a very good start, wanting to get up and out of trouble as opposed to what happened last week at Bristol, and you saw it just at the back of your screen. This battle continuing to go on. Matthew George, who had a very good start, is now continuing to just drift further and further on back. And I don't know if there's a problem with the car, or he's struggling to find some kind of grip, or maybe there's some kind of damage that we don't see. But Matthew George started second. He's all the way back to 9th now and struggling to hold on to that 9th position. And you see that red spoiler and the red windshield banner. Matthew George needing a good finish here to advance in the round of 12, and maybe just struggling in this first stage, but we talked about it at the top of the broadcast. One of the benefits of these stage races is he might be able to figure out something later in this run. So we'll have to wait and see if the 28 starts to get things sorted out. Right in front of him, the 24 of Tucker starting to go to work on Moniak again, and we'll see if he can sneak on by that Ford Mustang machine. It's a pretty good looking paint scheme right there for Moniak, the snap-on Ford Mustang. Very simple, very clean, but he's got an even better paint scheme right behind him. Dalton Tucker in that DuPont 24. And we totally love how the NORA B Series does it. Right behind, actually, driver up in the wall. Looked like it was Brian Powell. Take another look at that one. Thought he had gotten up into the wall. Excuse me, it was actually the 4 of Craig Schroeder. The last of these all-black cars. Schroeder got up into the wall. Chad Ingalls stays out of his back end. Maybe a little damage for the 4, but from up here in the booth, that car's looking pretty good. So we'll have to wait and see how he handles it. Justin White is falling all the way back to 14th. And Brian Powell trying to stick his nose in there. There's a couple of these drivers have kind of dropped to the back after having such good qualifying laps, so I'm not sure if they're just kind of getting caught on the bad end of some luck, or if maybe the track isn't performing as it did in qualifying. Is up toward the front. Bruce Ackerman, he's going to sneak by Trevor Rapallo, and now Rapallo going to swoop on by Wharton. And here goes Bruce Ackerman challenging for the lead again. Caution. Cars back behind. Cars are spinning on out. Matthew George involved. Justin White involved. And it's going to be our first yellow of the race. And let's take another look at what happened. Coming off of turn 2, or following Justin White in the number 9 here. And it looks like it actually happened up in front of him. The 28 of George just getting spun on around. And let's take another look at it and see if we can see what happened from George's point of view. He's going door to door with Moniak in the 13 here, and the 13 just kind of hooks him into that outside retaining wall. 13 able to survive, but the number 9 definitely getting the worst of that. Justin White, hope he's okay after that collision. This will ride along with him here, and this is going to be a nasty hit here. He goes up toward that outside retaining wall. Hard to see right there. He sees the smoke, starts to dive toward the bottom. And that is where the wreck ended up being. As you see him on pit road now, trying to get that car fixed on up. And here comes the whole lead pack down pit road. Every single driver coming to take what could be 4 tires and fuel, which would be interesting. There are tire limits here in the NORA B Series. We did not get an official word, but I believe it should be 4 tire sets, or 4 changes, excuse me, in the tires. And it looks like right now everybody taking 4 tires and fuel. So keep that in mind as the race goes on. Should we have a late race caution, drivers will not be able to change those tires if they run out. Race off the pit road going to be won by Sean Briscoe with a 14.4 second pit stop. A good pit stop for that Toyota crew. Right behind him is Ackerman, Rapallo, Wharton, and Slauson. Your top 5 after those pit stops. So we would like to thank everybody for tuning on in here tonight early. Good turnout here, 17 drivers here for the round of 12 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And like we mentioned earlier, if any driver has an R next to their name, they also may have that red spoiler and red banner. You see it on Todd Slauson's machine right there. Good look at it right there. They are running for driver's points. They're in the driver's championship. Going for what you guys might think of when we think of the regular NASCAR scoring. Drivers with O's next to their name are driving for owner's points. So they're subs for the league or something of that nature. And they're driving for the owner's points for the car. And we kind of mentioned it, and we're cut off, that the NORA B Series not only does numbers, but also sponsors. So that's why you see the 24 DuPont machine in a Toyota, which is a very cool thing that we mention week in and week out. But buckle up, we're going to get set to go green here. We got through 15 laps there. Now, we're used to seeing long green flag runs, so kind of surprising to see an incident like that here early. Moniak getting into the 28 of George, who collects Justin White. And here we go, green flag back in the air. Good jump there for Briscoe. You know who didn't get a good jump was the 69 Bruce Ackerman. He's going to get hung out to dry on the top side. We'll see if he can make it on back here shortly. Rolling through turns 1 and 2. Corey Wharton going to get the outside run here on the 22. We'll see if he can clear Slauson in turns 3 and 4. Looks like he just might do it. Not so, says Slauson. Good run right there for the 22 team. You see the difference between the top side and the low side right here as these drivers continue to roll around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Quick look at your top 10 here as they fly into turns 3 and 4. Briscoe in first, Rapallo second, Ackerman third, Wharton fourth, Slauson fifth. Bellum now up to sixth, Tucker in seventh, Timmons in eighth, Cook in ninth, and Averill sits in 10th. John Briscoe starting to pull away, and you saw a big group of cars right there. Here to the bottom was the 23 of Blade Timmons. An excellent name for an awesome driver. So he's going to try and sneak below Bellum in the 07. Bellum gives a little bit of room. You saw him jerk that car up toward that outside retaining wall as he gets up and out of the way of Timmons. Both of those drivers going for owner's points here tonight. So nothing to lose for them. The 89 of Cook going to dive to the bottom here. He'll see if he can overtake Timmons. They go door-to-door in turn 3. Timmons giving absolutely no room to Cook as they're both stacked up behind Slauson. Slauson in the Nikon Optics 22 machine. He heads to the top side. He'll try and hold face there. Then he moves to the middle and now down to the bottom. We're starting to see these lines start to form. What drivers are preferring, what works for them, what doesn't. as we cross the line. Lap 20 out of 170. Still a lot of race to go and a lot that could change in the track. And a big battle going on here. 2nd through 5th. All grouped on up in this tight little diamond of cars. Heading down the back straightaway. Trevor Apollo leading this group. Bruce Ackerman, your pole sitter here tonight. Back there, 2nd in this grouping. And the 24 machine of Dalton Tucker. He started way back there in the field. He's all the way up to 4th. And he's starting to find his groove here. We saw Tucker absolutely dominate all last week as he led every single lap at Bristol Motor Speedway, and that's tough to do, especially at a short track like that. But every single lap, caution laps included, no one even took a single lap from him. As the 24 had an excellent race, and he's looking to duplicate that performance here at Las Vegas. They're going to go 3 wide off of turn 2. Top side getting a very good run, and they'll have a good draft. But the 24 with an excellent corner entry. He's going to hug that white line all the way at the bottom. Ackerman trying to follow suit, get in his wake, and he will do that. But you see it as quick as can be. Apollo, who was just 2nd, now drops back to 4th. And now Dalton Tucker all the way up to 2nd. He's going to start to try and reel in Sean Briscoe in the top spot. You can pay attention to that interval, the top of your screen. It's updated every couple of seconds. As you see your top 3 right there and the interval to the leader. So you will be able to see if Dalton Tucker is catching him or losing him. Right now the answer is catching, as he's got that now under a second from 1st to 2nd. Further on back, it's a real tight grouping right here. Some racing almost reminiscent of a plate style track, like a super speedway style, a Daytona or a Talladega, where all the cars are grouped up nose to tail. And they're running in these big packs, and you see it right here, just kind of these little clusters of cars. Are really all grouped together, and they're making it work for them. Lead group trying to get chased down by this one, led by the 23 of Blade Timmons. He's out in that clean air. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But this first group, led by Dalton Tucker, Bruce Ackerman, Trevor Apollo, Corey Wharton, and Todd Slauson. They've single filed on out just a bit. And right behind him, Drayton Cook trying to catch Timmons, but he's got Brian Powell right behind him thinking about making a move. Big run for the 95 right there. So he sends it low in turn 3. He's trying to, and will make it stick for the time being. But the 89 with just such a better run through the middle of that corner. That's that progressive banking really paying off right there. Something we didn't know if it would quite come back to rear its ugly head or not. Right now it's looking like that top groove is seeming dominant. Or not even that top groove, excuse me, kind of that middle area. Get in the middle of the car right over that first seam. Bruce Ackerman and Dalton Tucker still working at each other. Both trying to work together to catch Sean Briscoe up there in the 36. Briscoe in the 36, he's going to collect Matthew George and put him a lap down. Further on back, I think we saw Drayton Cook going to work with Brian Powell. He's going to try and sneak by the 95. As they'll go door to door down the front straightaway. Still door to door in turns 1. Howell goes high in the 95, giving a bunch of room to the 89. But he's going to get a great run off that corner. Looks like he will take the position down the back straightaway. Drayton Cook, I thought he was going to be under attack from the 98 of Tim Abril. Abril not able to hold on as well. Now he's all the way back to the rear bumper. Up to the front of your pack. Sean Briscoe still pulling away here. But now he's got the 69 and the 24 trying to chase him on down. And Trevor Apollo and Todd Slauson not too far back. So really the kind of racing we're seeing tonight, an interesting style of racing. It almost seems that the draft is making these cars very dependent of each other. You see the 69 and the 24 really working together. Trying to catch up to the leader of Sean Briscoe. And this kind of tandem drafting is seeming to work. You see Slauson and Rapallo also doing a little bit of it. Further on back, a big group of cars. All trying to stay single file. Single file will be the fastest here. Sean Briscoe, we thought he was going to catch Matthew George. And he has. Matthew George has got a couple more laps down here. He's all the way getting shuffled on back now. You see the track continuing to darken here at Las Vegas. 92 degrees. It was 91 when we took the green flag. Now up to 92. As that late sun is really hitting the track, beating down and continuing to heat it on up. You see the lights starting to come on here at Las Vegas, and that means that the time is now for a lot of these drivers. Back up to your leader, Sean Briscoe, trying to hold off that second 3 of Ackerman, Tucker, and Slauson as they all get in line down the back straightaway. Great look at it right here from our TV crew. Is Slauson going to try and mix it up with the 24? He won't be able to do it just yet as they cross the start-finish line for lap 36 out of 170. Coming up on our first stage break of the night, that's going to come here at lap 42. The caution flag will be shown. And we can take a break. It'll be interesting to see if we see any drivers go with 2 tires or 4. Hard to say. We saw that early caution, but it's been the only one here tonight. So I'd expect stage number 2, if you had to guess, might go green the entire way. So taking 2 tires, a bit of a gamble. But if you're going to gamble, the best place to do it is Vegas. So we'll see if we see any kind of unique strategies here throughout tonight. Dalton Tucker just kind of holding in line right here. He's got Bruce Ackerman up there in front. He's holding on from back there in 3rd place. And 24 with a good run off the corner. He's going to try and head to the bottom. Actually, he might have gotten tight there as the 22 now to the top side, trying to take the position away. 22 now back to the bottom. Good battle going on here between these drivers. All these drivers going for drivers points. They got the R next to their name. They want a shot at the title, and they're proving it here tonight. Dalton Tucker does have that one win in his back pocket, so he's good to go here. Trying to race for everything he can, but 69 and the 22, they want a piece of Sean Briscoe. Briscoe continuing to pull away, now opening up a gap of 1.3 seconds between first and second place. Slauson now trying to poke his head in here toward the end of stage number 1, and we're going to have a great finish up here in the top 5. Sean Briscoe continuing to pull away, but Slauson slides up in front of the 69. Ackerman down at the bottom. He's going to get a bumper from Tucker in the 24 if he can make it there. And don't forget about Rapallo, who gets an amazing run off of turn 2, dives to the bottom. He's going to be blocked. Everybody throwing blocks down the back straightaway. Coming to lap 42, coming to the end of this first stage. And what a finish this stage it's going to be. The 24 gets a bump from behind. Trevor Rapallo not quite sure where he went. And that will be our stage caution. Whew. We can slow down and take a breath after that one. And that was some fantastic racing from Slauson, Ackerman, Tucker, Timmons, and Rapallo. Rapallo having some kind of issue. Not quite sure if we'll see the number 90 back, but he has since exited the simulation. So we will wait and see if the number 90 returns to Las Vegas Motor Speedway or if he has been lost to this race. The end of stage number 1 going to bring us Sean Briscoe, your stage winner here. So Briscoe in the 36 is going to get that stage win, that extra point. And now it's time to see who comes down pit road. Do we see all 4 tires? Really a lot in question for a lot of these guys. So we go. We're going to see all the leaders down pit lane. Will they take 2 tires? Will they take 4 tires? That is the question of these pit stops. So you get a good look at Las Vegas Motor Speedway there. Pace car going to continue to do pace speed. Everyone going to pull into their pit box. Bruce Ackerman, your pole sitter, going to be first. And you won't see the actual physical individuals hop on over the wall and changing the tires. iRacing does not render each individual pit crew. And a good race off of pit road right here. And that is too tough to call right there. We're going to have to wait and see to how this shakes out. But a great couple of pit stops. Good job on pit lane by Bruce Ackerman, who is under 40 seconds. Same with Corey Wharton in terms of time spent on pit lane. But it looks like Sean Briscoe barely beat everyone else out. Todd Slauson second, Bruce Ackerman third, and Dalton Tucker in fourth. Looks like that's how it's going to shake on out. So the end of stage number 1, we saw the high line seemingly prove to be the more dominant line, just in terms of run off the corner. It was so hard to beat those drivers on the high side. We saw the number 90, Trevor Apollo, who is back, by the way. He is back on track. Not sure if he had some kind of computer issue. But the number 90 machine 2 laps down, and he's going to try and get them back throughout the night. He's the only car a lap down, so we will be in the lucky dog position should we have another caution. And we'll see if he does get waved around by race control. Sometimes they will do that. But so far, so good for a lot of these drivers. And really, we didn't see any handling issues either. Last week, we saw a couple drivers just kind of get loose out of nowhere, and you'll get that at Bristol with those tight corners and those highly banked corners, and you're trying to get on the accelerator as quick as possible. Sometimes the back end will just kind of get away from you. And sometimes the setup just encourages something like that. A good friend of mine likes to say that loose is fast and fast is loose. And you will see some setups be looser than others. And if you can control it, you can be a very quick race car. But it's hard to do that with a setup that ends up being tight, just because there's so little you can do with being tight. Whereas if you're loose, you're able to kind of correct it with your steering, make the car drift toward that outside retaining wall in getting loose. So a lot you can do with that. But stage number 1 complete. Sean Briscoe came away with the stage win. He's going to lead us to the green flag of stage number 2. And really my guy to watch right here is going to be Todd Slauson. We saw him really come on at the end of last run. And now we'll see with fresh tires how the 22 is able to perform up at the front of the pack with that clean air out in front of his car. Pace car going to turn on that left-hand turn signal and head down pit lane. Back to its home, and Sean Briscoe going to lead the field as the control car to the green flag. He takes off, and a bit of a stack up right there as Blade Timmons kind of stacks up the bottom row right behind him. He's going to go from 3rd in line all the way back to 7th. The top 4, top 5, all 2x2 heading into turns 1 and 2. We mentioned Slauson, but watch out for Ackerman here with a great restart. He's up in a 2nd, looking to track down the leader here of Sean Briscoe in the 36, and he's going to have a good shot at it. Ackerman with a great run off the corner. Down at the bottom, back to the top, trying to get that quarter panel of Briscoe. Can't do it just yet. Down the back straightaway, he has a shot at it. Can't do it just yet. And something to think about here. How much of your tires do you want to use? We saw later in the run, everyone kind of just single file on out, and it'd be relatively harder to pass. I don't know if that's quite what happened, but we'll have to ask about it. But it did look like it got harder and harder to pass. So pay attention to that as these battles kind of rage on here. Top 5 have all seemingly single filed on out. Slauson, Wharton, Tucker, Tim April trying to poke his nose into the top 10 here. Or top 5, excuse me. And right back here, Brian Powell in the 95, that all-black machine. Going to try and go to work on Timmons. You see right there just how good of a run you can get in that middle and top groove. So he gets all the way to the rear quarter panel of the 23 of Timmons, but just gets blocked off down that back straightaway. Nowhere to go with that run. Goes to 95 and it just kind of stalls on out. So right there on the left side of your screen, Dalton Tucker fending off the challenge of the number 20. So here goes the 24 down to the bottom side. He's going to try and complete the pass and slots. The number 20 also going to dive his nose in there. Tucker going to be able to survive. Not just yet, and further on back, Tim Averill in the 98 going to sneak on by. So top three, Briscoe, Ackerman, and Tucker. Briscoe is just checked on out. He's got clean air all in front of him. The rest of the field trying to catch up to that 36. Whatever the 36 is doing, it's working. Everyone else just trying to emulate it here as the lights continue to rain down here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Corey Wharton in the number 20. He's going to try and take on Slauson. And not able to do it just yet. So we talk about the idea of clean air versus dirty air, and what that means is a driver like Sean Briscoe who has nobody in front of him, the air is relatively settled, and the car is going to cut through it as it would in the wind tunnel in testing. And then you take a driver like, for example, a Blade Timmons right there in the 23, or maybe Corey Wharton in the 20 is a better example, where the car in front of him has broken up the air and it's now disturbed air. It's almost like turbulence in an airplane that you're now driving through, and it doesn't fly as clean off the car as that settled down, that perfectly straight air, if you will. And that's the difference between clean and dirty air. The car will cut through that clean air a bit smoother, be a little bit quicker, and then in this dirty air, the car just sometimes will get tight as well, meaning it wants to drift up toward that outside retaining wall, doesn't want to turn left. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that here tonight. Is we're seeing a lot of these drivers get really good runs, but then they just kind of stall on out and have nowhere to go. I've seen that more than a couple times here. But Dalton Tucker is starting to figure something out in what Briscoe's doing. He's starting to catch him. I'm trying to figure out if he can take on the 36 of Briscoe, maybe in the second stage. Set something up for stage 3. As these stages 42-42, so we're going to have a stage break at lap 84. So we're counting down the laps. Still about 24 laps left in this stage. So still quite a ways to go. We're not looking forward to that green checker flag just yet. Further on back, Tim Averill under attack from Scott Bellum in the 07. He's got Drayton Cook in the 89 and Trevor Apollo in the number 90. Tough break right there for, I believe that's Tim Averill all the way down at the bottom there. It is the 98 machine. Had a little bit of trouble off of turn 2, stayed glued to the bottom. And Bellum, Cook, and Averill all able to sneak on by. Cook and Averill, or Cook and Rapallo, I'm sorry. Trevor Apollo 2 laps down here in that number 90 machine. Paulo on the same tires here. He's just 2 laps further down than everyone else. We'll see if he gets those back throughout the night. Back up to your leaders, side by side. Dalton Tucker, Sean Briscoe. So they go down the back straightaway, matched on up perfectly. And you know who loves to see this? It's Bruce Ackerman right behind. As they go side by side, he'll be able to close the gap. And it is too close to call right here. The 24 and the 36. Mixing it on up. Great racing right here between these two drivers. We've seen Tucker be a dominant force and Sean Briscoe trying to step up and take that away from him tonight. Tucker in the DuPont T-Rex machine. Sean Briscoe in that all black Toyota Supra. And that is his paint scheme. We've reloaded Trading Paints. That is indeed his paint scheme. He's raced that for a couple races here now. And look who's caught on up. It's Ackerman in the 69 and Slauson in the 22. They've both made their way up to the front of this pack. And everyone going to challenge for the lead here late in this one. Slauson touches the apron there, able to hang on to a good save by the 22 right there. That could have been pretty bad. Pretty good look here. You just love seeing the 22 poke on out, poke on out, poke on out. He's going to try and go to the bottom here. We'll see if he can do it. He's going to get to the rear bumper of the 69. Tries to go to the top side, leaving a little bit of room. Just enough. And both those drivers survive for the time being. Slauson to the bottom side. Now he's going to try and take on the 69 of Ackerman. And he completes the pass easily in turns 3 and 4. Ackerman with a great run, though. You saw it right there. That top side when you're door-to-door racing seems to be the spot to be. We'll see if the drivers are getting relayed that or the drivers that are kind of figuring that out continue to do that later in the race. You'll see it right here, the 69 with a good run off the corner. With the 22 just a touch better right there. And Blade Timmons closing in that 23 Monster Energy machine. Back up to your leader, Dalton Tucker, starting to pull away. It's a sight we've become all too familiar with here in the NORA B series. Dalton Tucker leading race and Dalton Tucker pulling away. Last weekend at Bristol, it became very apparent, and I don't know if Tucker's kind of figured something out or maybe if Briscoe's peeling off for the time being. We still do have a good ways to go. About 14, 15 laps left in this stage. So still a little ways to go, and I don't know maybe if someone's saving. If they're not, and you can start to think about that tire change that's coming at the end of the stage and then in the middle of stage number 3 as well. So will someone take 2 tires, get out in front, try and get that track position? Or are those 4 tires going to be necessary you have to take them at the start of stage number 3. We'll have to wait and see. A lot can still play on out here. And around goes Sean Briscoe kind of randomly right there.
We'll be pissed off at somebody else on the racetrack before this race is over with.
And I'm not quite sure what we just saw, but let's take another look at that. As Sean Briscoe is just kind of riding along and seemingly gets turned around by almost an invisible car. We'll give you another look at it here. Maybe the 36 getting loose. And I gotta say, I am not 100% sure what happened there. We'll give you guys one more look at it. But we might have possibly just seen the worst netcode of all time, because that was bad. One more look at it from high up above here. You're looking at Sean Briscoe in the 36 at all black machine, and he just gets kind of turned around. The 23 of Blade Timmons gets sideswiped. And then here comes Brian Powell in the 95, not able to avoid it either. That will do it. And here comes all the leaders on the pit lane. So we'll see if everyone takes 2 tires, 4 tires, and it looks like most of the drivers taking 4. I'm going to be curious to see how much of a wrench this throws in to everything. A good point right there. Thank you, Alex, that maybe he lost a tire right there. And that's super interesting to note. iRacing does model tires lost, and you will see it like that the car just kind of gets loose out of nowhere. And we talked about this abrasive surface. Only 91 degrees on the track. That's not the hottest for one of these tracks. Often when we come to Las Vegas, we see temperatures 100 degrees and above. Tonight, only 90. But that just shows you how hard that Sean Briscoe is running to stay up at the front, how much wear and tear he's putting on those tires, and how much that's going to cost him. And maybe that's why we've seen every single driver head to pit lane and get tires whenever possible. So an update from the pit box. Justin White was not happy with an incident that happened that has taken him out of the race earlier in the race. We must have missed that. The number 9 machine didn't feel like he got enough room and voiced his frustration. But under yellow here, and now we're going to have a quick little shootout, as it were, to lap 84. And our stage 2 break. But first, more green flag action, and kind of surprised we've had a pair of organic cautions. The NORA B series, usually one of the cleaner series that we see on iRacing. Not a lot of cautions, not a lot of caution laps. Last week had 9 cautions, including those 2 stage breaks. So 7 organic cautions. A lot of those single car spins or maybe like dual car incidents. And that's going to happen on a short track like Bristol. But a track like this, kind of an interesting pair of cautions. We saw the one earlier, obviously, as Moniak drove Matthew George into the outside retaining wall. And it's been bad luck for George from back-to-back weeks. Got turned and was very frustrated last week at Bristol, and understandably so. And once again gets turned by a driver. And Matthew George, one of the drivers racing for those drivers' points. So the 28, understandably upset. So we've got a couple of pretty angry drivers here. We'll see if we see them back before the race is over. But Dalton Tucker going to lead us back to the green flag. Still in stage number 2. At end of that stage break, going to come here in about 9 or so laps. As the 24 going to take us to the green. 22 laying back, trying to get a good jump. Slauson does. Corey Wharton right behind him as well. Slauson with an excellent jump right there. The 69 of Ackerman also not willing to give an inch. He's going to try and peek underneath the 20 of Wharton. And he's going to try and peek underneath the 22 of Slauson as well. Slauson all the way up to the top side. And those fresh tires might be a little bit chilly now under the lights here at Las Vegas. Slauson and Ackerman going to go door to door here. Really trusting each other there as they go inches within each other's cars. Ackerman falls back into that second spot. And once again, that top line rules. I'm going to keep saying it over and over here tonight. But it is unbelievable how much faster that top group seems to be. And I'm curious why we're not seeing more and more drivers go up there, because of the run you're getting off the corner. '69 all the way against that white line on the bottom. Going to get a great run off the corner. Almost gets the quarter panel to 22. You get a good look at it right there. Not able to do it just yet. Winding down here in stage number 2, and the racing heating on up. Dalton Tucker starting to pull away here. He's starting to figure this track on out a little bit. Todd Slauson, Bruce Ackerman, and Corey Wharton still trying to settle it on out for second. They're 2, 3, 4 as they run. Drayton Cook looks on from the 89. Couple of drivers we saw up there earlier in the race, Trevor Apollo and Sean Briscoe, both have brought their cars behind the wall already. They join Matthew George and Justin White, who have called it a night. All those drivers taking the cars behind the wall and ending their nights early. 69 of Bruce Ackerman up into the second spot right there. We'll see if he holds it at the line, and he will. Todd Slauson not giving any room right there. The 69 dives to the bottom. Might try and chop the nose off with a little bit of a slide job, and he does not. He stays glued to the bottom. And now he's going to pull up in front of the 22. Thinks about diving low on the 20 to block that run off. But Corey Wharton with a great run. He'll go door to door with Slauson. Wharton with an excellent corner in 3 and 4. Heads to the top side. And now the 22 of Slauson makes his turn. And you see right there, it's so hard to complete that pass and keep it completed. And Slauson going to try and prove me wrong right here as they go down the back straightaway. But you see it. Slauson gets ahead, and then he gets reeled right back in. Drayton Cook right behind him in the 89. He's trying to pick a line, figure out what's faster, and go that direction. Not able to do it just yet. Second stage coming to a close here shortly. Dalton Tucker going to lead us around to the finish. He's got Bruce Ackerman trying to reel him in, and Slauson, Corey Wharton really trying to pick it on up. Big block right there by Slauson. Wharton stays on the top side. Slauson tries to come all the way back in front of the nose. A dangerous move by the 22 right there, but everyone sorts it on out. They'll stay single file, and we should get the stage break here momentarily. And there it is. Caution is back out. And your stage 2 winner going to be the 24 of Dalton Tucker. No stranger to winning stages and races. And he'll wrap up a stage 2 victory. A great job by him as he found his way around the 36 of Briscoe, who's back out on the track, by the way. 10 laps down. And Trevor Apollo, they must have heard me talking about them, as both have rejoined the race after getting those cars fixed on up in the garage area. But stage 2 goes to Dalton Tucker. We're going to step away for a moment here, and we'll be right back for the completion of this one and stage number 3. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Looking at our score sheet, it looks like every single driver head to pit lane. Every single lead lap driver, excuse me, headed to pit lane to get service on their vehicles. And they'll get set to go here from Las Vegas once again. Quick look at the race summary. 86 laps completed, 84 to go. Only 2 lead changes. And 4 caution flags, 2 of those being for stage break. For the stage break, excuse me. Here in the Las Vegas 170. Dalton Tucker going to be your leader once we hit the green flag once again. You'll have Bruce Ackerman right behind him, and you see these pair of lapped cars in front of them. Trevor Apollo and Sean Briscoe, they're waiting to get the wave around here. And they'll try and get one lap closer to getting back on that lead lap. A clarification from Matthew Moniak there in the chat. He says that the 28 forced his way up across his hood. He did hold his line. So Moniak not at fault there. 28 of Matthew George coming up and forcing his way into a spot that wasn't there. The spotters agree and disagree, and we'll have to go back and look at that one here eventually. But getting set for stage number 3 now. Dalton Tucker going to be your leader. Ackerman, Wharton, Slauson, and Cook, the rest of your top 5. And we'll see if Dalton Tucker able to kind of pull away here, or if we'll see the rest of these drivers able to stay on his tail. Pay attention to the 20. Wharton and Tucker have had their disagreements throughout the season. So we'll see if the 20 can get on up there, maybe give a shove to the 24. As we get set to go green here once again for stage number 3. It's the big one. It's the most important one. It's the one that ends with a race win. The 24 is off, and the 20 with a fantastic jump right behind him. He's going to clear the first row and the second row of cars that he needed to. And 69 of Ackerman also jumps to the bottom side. 69 with a good jump, and he's really liking that kind of low entry into turn 1 that Bruce Ackerman is. And back behind him with 13, Amaniak up into the wall. He'll keep it straight. But let's take another look at what just happened through turns 1 and 2. Just gets up into the wall on his own. Pitted 2 laps ago. So I can't imagine that's a tire going down. Maybe it just got loose on him. Amaniak up into the wall. And that's a tough break for the 13 car. We mentioned just how good looking of a paint scheme that is. Qualified really well. And he's just kind of had bad luck right now. He's now 3 laps down and in danger of going further down. Todd Slauson under attack from Scott Bellum. We haven't seen Bellum jump up to the front here tonight, but on fresh Goodyear Eagles right now, he's cracked the top 5. Looking to crack the top 4 if he can sneak around the 22 of Slauson. Single file through the top 5. Further on back, the battle continuing to rage on. And look at Chad Engel. We haven't seen Engel up toward the front really all night long, but the 29 quietly having a night to be proud of. Up to 9th, looking for a few more. Ryan Kendrick as well. Haven't called his name all night long. You see Kendrick with that red banner and that red spoiler. One of the drivers in this round of 12 racing for those drivers' points. Trying to win a championship. Pretty good looking car right there. That Vans 00 machine. Trying to take it up through this traffic in front of him. Brian Powell and that black machine. Drayton Cook all the way to the top side. Not sure if that was intentional or not, but once again, you see the run he gets off the corner. All over the back bumper of Powell. But not able to do anything with it just yet. Maybe watching Cook right now, this is the reason the guys are not running the top side. Because you get such a good run off the corner, but you lose so much time in the middle. It's hard to say at this point. The top 2, Tucker and Wharton, they're 1-2. And now further on back, it's a big group of cars. Ackerman, Slauson, and Bellum in this first group. Powell, Kendrick, Cook, and Engel in the second group. And then even further on back, let's take you through the entire field here. Craig Schroeder out there in 10th. Tim Abril in 11th. And then the lap down cars of Pontiac, Rapallo, and Briscoe rounding out your field. That's going to make 14 drivers still running. Blade Timmons has taken it behind the wall here, the 23, calling it a night. So we approach lap 100 out of 170. Dalton Tucker continuing to play Ring Around the Rosie here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Further on back, a big battle raging on. We got Brian Powell in the 95 and Ryan Kendrick, who snuck by the 89 of Drayton Cook a couple laps ago. He's trying to take advantage and maybe sneak by the 95 as well. And a quick reminder, in this third and final stage, we will have some form of green flag pit stops. Will drivers take 2 tires? Will they take 4? And if they take tires in this green flag pit stop, I believe we're going to have to check with our statistician here that they would be out of tire sets should we have a late race caution. So do you take a gamble and not take tires? We've already seen possibly 1 tire go down as well when we watch the 36 of Briscoe go around. So that's got to be in the back of your head as well. And I almost think you have to take tires, or maybe you take 2 left side tires or 2 right side tires even, and have the other set ready to go should a late race caution come out. It's really tough because all of these things that you practice in practice conditions, and frankly our practice earlier this evening was during the daytime, not under these night conditions where the tires may last a little bit longer and may behave a little differently. So it's really hard to say how that car is going to behave on 2 and 4 tires. Maybe some of the drivers will try it. Maybe drivers in the back who need a couple more spots, need some more playoff points to jump into that round of 8. Maybe they will go out and try it. We'll have to wait and see. We are 14 laps into this tire run. I would imagine they can stretch it to somewhere around 50 or so. So expect to see pit stops starting anywhere from lap 130 or so on to the end of the race. We've seen guys try to stretch it as well. We've seen early pits. We've seen late pits. And that's what makes this third stage so exciting. And that 85% distance as well as that 85% fuel load. That's what's so important with it, is it makes it so you do have to pit. You cannot make it on fuel alone. As we watch Brian Powell and Drayton Cook continue to work, let's take you through the entire field, brought to you by the NORA series. Dalton Tucker started back there in 15th, 5 seconds off the pace on his qualifying lap. I think that was intentional. Spent most of the first stage kind of in that mid-pack area, and then in stage number 2, he was able to find a really good run there, bring himself up into first. That's where he stayed. 40 laps led, and he's looking to lead the rest of the way and put him over 100 laps led, and that would put him as the driver leading the most. Corey Wharton in the number 20 machine kind of had a string of bad luck throughout all season long. Started in 5th. He's moved his way up to 2nd. And Wharton, not a very strong stage number 1, but stage number 2, he definitely moved his way up the pack. So I expect to see the number 20 before the race is done. As we talk, Bruce Ackerman in the 69 He's trying to dive to the bottom of the number 20. Can't do it just yet, but Ackerman has definitely shown the speed in that Twix Toyota Supra. He's able to really make it work in that first stage. We saw him on pole, so he definitely knows how to hot lap it. We've really seen Ackerman be strong early in these runs. You're seeing it right here, about 19 laps into this run. Really coming on here. Really in all stages of the run, actually. So Bruce Ackerman doing the most with these older tires. Right behind him, Todd Slauson in the 22 machine. Slauson's had a really good run here. Often one of those drivers that's kind of that top 5, maybe fringe top 10 kind of driver. But Slauson started in 7th, has moved up to 3rd, and he's been in the top 5 pretty much all night long. Really driving well here at Las Vegas. And how many times have we said tonight, Slauson with a great run off the corner. So pay attention to his line, as it might be something he's doing that just gets him such a good run off. And you see it even right there, how much he's able to close that gap on Bruce Ackerman. So pay attention to Slauson before the night is over. Back in 5th is Scott Bellum. Started in 6th, and we saw him at the start of that last run up there poking his nose around the top 5. Bellum's looked very good in the short run. Maybe not so much in the longer run, as you see Drayton Cook right behind him starting to attack a little bit. And he's in that middle groove, maybe trying to head to the top side. We haven't seen anyone try it just yet. And as soon as we say that, Drayton Cook heads to the top side, and he's going to try and complete the pass up there. Drayton Cook started in 9th, moved up to 5th. He's had a quiet night, Cook has. Definitely trying to move up the pack. Brian Powell in the 95. He sits in 7th right here, trying to take over 6th place at the line. Powell in that all-black machine. Saw him involved in that incident with Sean Briscoe a little bit earlier, but they've got that machine fixed on up, and he's now doing battle with the 07 of Bellum. Ryan Kendrick in that Vans Toyota Supra. We saw Kendrick quietly make his way up into that top 5 there for a moment after that last stage break. He's now dropped back to 8th along with Chad Engel. Started 17th, so tough spot to start. Ryan Kendrick all the way in the back there, but trying to make his way up through the pack. Chad Engel right behind him in that beautiful Bass Pro Shops Toyota Supra. I'm not quite sure that sponsor is compatible with that. But alas, the 29 machine started in 16th, has climbed up to 9th. And Engel, just like Kendrick, kind of had that little run at the start of this 3rd stage, but it's kind of drifted further on back now. And he sits in 9th. Craig Schroeder in the 4 machine. We haven't really called his name all night. Started in 14th, has moved up to 10th. I believe he was involved in one of those caution flags, our very first caution flag of the night, actually. We thought it was Powell or Briscoe, and it turned out that it was Schroeder. And Schroeder having a good, solid little day. Nothing to write home about, but in 10th position right now, looking to move up a little bit. Craig Schroeder, one of your round of 12 drivers too, so any spot he can get, so important as this race continues. Back behind him, your final lead lap car, Tim Abril in the 98 machine. Started 13th. He's climbed to 11th. And Abril kind of in no man's land right now. No drafting partner, but sometimes drivers like that. They're able to ride in that clean air. We talked about that clean air and how good it seems it is here tonight. So Abril not in the worst spot by a long shot. Trevor Apollo started 4th. He's back to 12th. Had such a great run, and then I think had some kind of computer issues that put him 2 laps down. And he just hasn't been able to climb back up since. Rapallo was riding along in that top 5, mixing it up with Ackerman and Orton and Slauson. And Slauson currently riding 2nd, so it was no joke that the number 90 was riding along with them. and just has not had the cautions he's needed to get those laps back, sitting 5 laps down to the leader now. Matthew Moniak in the 13, started 11th. He's back to 13th. Had a tough little break right there. We heard from him that new tires are like driving on ice, and we watched him catch the car sliding up and hit the wall. A little bit of damage on the back end of that number 13 machine. But should he get a caution flag, he might get that machine fixed on up. He is 7 laps down, so he needs nothing short of a miracle to get back on the lead lap. But definitely don't count it out as this race continues. And rounding out your field here, Sean Briscoe, the last of your running cars. He's 9 laps down to the leader. And he was running in the lead. He was your stage 1 winner, in fact. And I don't know if he blew a tire, but we saw the car just get loose out of nowhere. So that is our best guess, is that he lost the tire there in turn 2, got up into the wall. You can see it on his left rear quarter panel. And that car just not going to be able to be completely fixed. He spent a long time on pit road fixing that car up as best as possible. But that time in pit lane has put him 9 laps down. And that's your field here in the NORA B Series Las Vegas 170 as we continue in stage number 3. Approaching 50 laps to go. You're looking at your leader here, Dalton Tucker. So let's take a lap around Las Vegas Motor Speedway on the nose of the 24 machine so you can see what he is seeing as he traverses this 1.5-mile D-shaped oval. You can see it right there, just how quickly he's able to get back onto the throttle. He's not getting off and on or kind of modulating the throttle at all in the corner. It's off, get the car rotated, and then back onto the throttle as quick as can be. Dalton Tucker just laying down some very good lap times, 0.2 faster than second place, a full 1/10 of a second faster than third place. So Dalton Tucker in a very good spot. Here's where we continue. He's 3.4 seconds out in front of Todd Slauson. You see Slauson coming to the start-finish line with Bruce Ackerman right there. Those two, the closest battle on the racetrack we have right now. So we get a look from the back end of Slauson's machine. Ackerman trying to reel him on in, but that's going to be the challenge. You cannot get sucked into a battle like this. Try and conserve the tires as much as you can. And I would imagine we are quickly approaching that pit stop window. We've crossed 36 laps on these tires, and keep in mind a couple of those under the yellow flag conditions. So maybe we don't even see drivers for another 5 to 10 laps. And a couple of drivers we've talked to throughout it really like the idea of splitting the stage in half. So we took the green somewhere around lap 90, and that puts you with about 80 laps to go in this final stage. You want to go about 40, so you add 40 to 90. That puts us around 130. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers maybe try to pit early in these next couple laps, knowing that you can probably make it on fuel when you're that close. And there is some strategy that you can undercut a certain driver. You hear the terms undercut a lot in open wheel racing, especially Formula One. But it's definitely something you can do in NASCAR as well. It will not work if we get a late race yellow, as that'll put everyone back on the same schedule. But in a race like this, where leaders pulling away so much, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the 69 and the 22 try and work something out that they go down pit road at the same time, and maybe they bring Corey Wharton along with them, or maybe they try to drag another driver like Cook or Powell on a pit road with them and try and all three pit early and try and kind of strand Dalton Tucker out to dry. And as soon as we say that, here comes Slauson on the pit lane. He's coming fast. He might have been speeding on pit road. We'll have to see. But lap 126 out of 170. Todd Slauson gonna try and undercut the leader, Dalton Tucker. This is a tough strategy to get to work. But we'll see if Slauson can do it. He's taking a gamble here, out here in the desert at Las Vegas. And we'll see if he can pull it off. He's put his chips in. He's going all in on this strategy, and he appears to be the only driver doing it thus far. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another driver coming in a pit lane very soon once he comes off of pit road. Still getting tires. He's 31, 32 seconds. Todd Slauson might actually be fixing some damage. That might be a tough break there for the 22. 22 still on pit road. 50 seconds, 51. Losing more and more time. 55 seconds stop, and Slauson is off. I don't know if that was scheduled or if he was fixing damage or quite what happened to the 22. Maybe he just had some kind of issue that needed solved on his computer. But the 22 machine, 55-second pit stop under green flag conditions, and that is just not going to cut it here in stage number 3. Hard to do an undercut with a 55-second pit stop. Dalton Tucker continuing to lead. Let's actually take a look at your top 10 prior to these impending green flag pit stops. Tucker in first, Ackerman second, Corey Wharton sits third, Drayton Cook in fourth, Brian Powell fifth, Scott Bellum sixth, Chad Ingle seventh, Ryan Kendrick eighth, Craig Schroeder ninth, and Tim Abril sits in 10th. And you see all their lap times. And here we go. Here come the pit stops. Dalton Tucker down to pit lane. We said split the stage in half. We said 130. And Dalton Tucker going to choose that strategy. Bruce Ackerman, a great job by him to get on pit lane just as quick. Corey Wharton stays out. We'll see if Scott Bellum will also stay out. So Bruce Ackerman on pit lane. Dalton Tucker also on pit lane. Drayton Cook heads to pit lane. Brian Powell to pit lane. A lot of drivers on pit lane. A lot of action. We'll keep you abreast of all of it. Right now it's Ackerman, Cook, Powell, and Tucker all on pit lane. And make it Engel as well. Engel and Schroeder going to join on pit lane. Trevor Apollo on pit lane as well, one of your lap down cars. So Scott Bellum going to inherit the lead here as these green flag pit stops start to cycle on out. Corey Wharton heads to pit lane now as well, turning over second position. Scott Bellum, Ryan Kendrick, Tim Averill all still to pit. And here comes Bellum on lap 32 out of 170. Ryan Kendrick might have just hit the wall right there. We heard a bit of wall action. Not sure if that was a 0-0 or not, but he's going to choose to stay out at least one more lap here. And he should lead this next lap. And Ryan Kendrick hops into the top spot. Tim Averill right behind him in number 2. Scott Bellum going to turn it over. He's in third. And here comes Dalton Tucker. Bruce Ackerman trying to weave his way through a bit of traffic. He's got Moniak who heads to the top side. Great job by Moniak in the 13 to get out of the way of Ackerman. And we'll see if Slauson gives him the same courtesy or not. Slauson is at the tail end of the lead lap. I believe that's going to put him a lap down once Dalton Tucker takes the lead. Back there in 11th, Bruce Ackerman in 3rd. Ryan Kendrick still not pitting. Dalton Tucker trying to chase him down. Kendrick trying to lead as much as he can. He's led 1. He's going to try and make it 2. And nope, he's going to head it down to pit lane here. Trying to get that car down to pit lane before the commitment cone. And he will. Gets to slow down. And your race leader, once again, Dalton Tucker, as he's going to take over on lap 35 out of 170. So as these pit stops cycle on out, Dalton Tucker's your race leader. Bruce Ackerman is in 2nd. Corey Wharton is in 3rd. Drayton Cook in 4th. And Brian Powell in 5th. I apologize that the top 5 is not what it is. So we will yell at the graphics department and get right back to work tomorrow morning. Look at the gap here live. Dalton Tucker to Bruce Ackerman in 2nd. 6.4 seconds. It's a long way to go for Bruce Ackerman to catch Dalton Tucker. Dalton Tucker, last week's winner. Started in 15th. We thought he would have trouble picking his way up through the field. And that has not proven the case. Tucker just pits the right time and able to get on out as quick as can be. He's on the same schedule as Bruce Ackerman, Drayton Cook, and Brian Powell in your top 5. A lot of single file racing and a lot of gaps between all these cars. Let's just read you the intervals. This is in between the car in front of you. 7.1 seconds, 4.7 seconds, 2.0, 2.6, 6.3, 7.0, 5.8. So all these drivers going down pit lane, not really with a plan with anyone else. And we've seen drafting be so critical at this track and just how much you can make or lose based on the draft. So I thought that we would see some guys try and go in together, try and stay together. And we just have not. And this has all lended itself to Dalton Tucker being extremely far out in front of Bruce Ackerman. You see it right there. Ackerman racing with the 22 of Slauson, who is now one lap down. Top 7 on the lead lap. Chad Engel next in danger of being put a lap down. You see Dalton Tucker closing on in right there. So he's going to try and stay on the lead lap. Cheers for the 98 and the 89 in the chat. Let's check in on both of those drivers. Tim Averill back there in 11th. He's one lap down. Trying to chase down Todd Slauson in front of him. And the 89 of Drayton Cook having a great little run. He's actually the car in front of the 98 of Averill. 89 Drayton Cook sitting pretty in 4th. It's a good owner's point night for him, should he be able to hang on. And we've gotten under 30 to go here as the ticker's switched on over. Shows 29 to go as we continue to turn laps here at Las Vegas. .27 laps to go. Dalton Tucker out to a 7.5 second gap. He's going to put the 29 in the rear view mirror. He's got green pastures out in front. Like we said, 13 drivers still on the track, and on a 1.5 mile track, a lot of room to maneuver for a lot of these guys. We've got plenty of gap in between all these cars. So at this point, a caution not looking very likely. But should it happen, it might be due to a tire going down. We saw that earlier this race, so we know it's a possibility. One last check of the weather here tonight. Still 91 degrees. The hottest we saw the track get was 92. And that was right when that tire went down on the 36 of Sean Briscoe. So we'll have to wait and see if anyone else has any kind of trouble with that, and I would imagine not, because when Briscoe had that go down, Briscoe's racing very hard with a lot of the guys right around him. .24 coming to 23 laps to go. Should Dalton Tucker hold on to win this race, it would be his second win of the 2 round of 12 races. Maybe he would be able to go for the sweep next or the following week at the Charlotte Roval, and that's got to be good feeling for the 24 team, knowing you've won on a short track. you're doing fantastic to this point on a 1.5-mile racetrack, and then you can go to a road course where really you don't have to perform. You can kind of just run your race how you want to run it. You can maybe even be a little bit more aggressive than you would be, and in terms of maybe a smart move here or there, a smart pit stop, maybe you can be kind of that aggressive and go for a win. Because Tucker, we've seen him kind of struggle on and off of road courses. Sean Briscoe won at Road America. Trevor Apollo took home the win at Watkins Glen. And we head even further on back. Corey Wharton won at the Indianapolis road course. However, at Mid-Ohio on June 3rd, Dalton Tucker did win that one. So he has won in a road course setting. Corey Wharton gave him a run for his money that race. But it would definitely be a good feeling to get one under the belt. And looking even further to the round of 8, Kansas, Texas, and Martinsville. So kind of a unique set of 3 tracks right there. 2 of the bigger tracks on the circuit. The Texas Motor Speedway is the 2009 version of it on iRacing. So not the 8-mile wide turn 1. But still a great racetrack. And that speedway is going to chew up tires as well. We kind of saw it a little bit here tonight. But definitely expect more of it out of Texas Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks. Martinsville, and then the championship night, November 11th. Mark that down in your calendars right now. We'll head to Phoenix with the open dogleg, and that should be a good one. $18 to go here. Dalton Tucker still out in front. Let's run through the field very quickly. Get you caught on up of what's going on so we can get a good idea of what it's going to look like coming to the finish. Dalton Tucker being your leader. Right behind him, Bruce Ackerman, 7 seconds back. Ackerman had a very good race and just didn't have enough for the 24 of Dalton Tucker, and there's still plenty of race left. So definitely don't count him out. You see him getting a little bit loose right there in turn 2. But Ackerman has had a pretty strong race, really. Corey Wharton in the number 20 machine. He sits in 3rd. Wharton, kind of one of those drivers who's had a relatively good season, just kind of bad luck at times. A spin here, an accident there. An unavoidable accident even. So the number 20 machine, definitely looking forward to a good finish here tonight. 2.5 seconds back of him is Drayton Cook. He rides in 4th, started 9th. Drayton Cook riding for owner's points here tonight. So any finish he can get up there at the top is a win for him. And I definitely don't think he's going to be too upset about a top 5 here tonight. Scott Bellum in the 07. Good run for him in that Checkers or Wreckers Ford Mustang. Bellum led 2 laps during that green flag pit stop cycle. And trying to move his way up even further in the top 5. He's got a little ways to go. 7.5 seconds up to Cook in 4th. Right along with Tucker here. 13 laps to go. Last lap of 33.0. It's 0.3 of a second faster than the next closest. Just a very impressive feat for the 24. To give you an idea about how important tires are at this track, Dalton Tucker's best lap, a 31.1. That last lap, an entire 2 seconds slower. So that's how important a fresh set of tires can be. That's why we talked about that late race caution and having a set of tires for that final yellow flag, but does not look like we're going to have one of those. As actually we got a battle forming here. Is Chad Engel getting passed by Ryan Kendrick there. Let's see if we can go back to the pass. So they were going side by side for a couple laps there, I would guess. And you see the 00 up toward the top side. We've kind of talked all night long. Is the top side a viable option or is it not? They go all the way door to door. Engel and Kendrick, a very good run right here. You see Engel get a little bit squirrely through the middle of that straightaway. And then kind of does the Ackerman move, we're going to call it. Staying low and just riding that white line. But 00 with a great move out of that corner. He's now out in front. And you just see that clean air boosting the 00 further and further in front. And Engel not able to close it. Both of those drivers 1 lap down. So that is the battle for the potential lucky dog spot. Should we have any kind of caution flag? Todd Slauson now looking to make a move as we head toward the end of the race. Some battles are starting to take shape. Slauson and Schroeder both playoff drivers, so this matters for points. As Slauson will sneak by easily up into the 8th spot. And the 4 almost gets his rear bumper. He thought about giving a little bump and run there. But Schroeder stays out of his rear end. And we continue to run green here. At Las Vegas Motor Speedway with 8 laps to go. Quick look at the summary after all those green flag pit stops. We had 6 lead changes, 4 yellows, 2 of those being of the organic variety. The other 2 being our stage breaks. Been a really good race so far. A lot of good racing. We've had really a kind of interesting little race in terms of the different stages. Stage 1 and 2 were filled with a lot of almost pack type racing. Very tight finishes at the end. It looks like we're going to have another one as Slauson moves up into 7th. This is big for Slauson. Needs all the playoff points he can get. And he's just gone from 9th to 7th. So that's more points in his bucket as he tries to make the round of 8 here in 2 weeks. Dalton Tucker, 98 laps led. We talked about him wanting to get close to 100. And it looks like he might just get pretty close there. Five laps to go, and let's take you back to Craig Schroeder trying to sneak by Chad Engel, or maybe the other way around. Chad Engel trying to sneak by Chad Schroeder. 4 laps to go. This does have playoff implications. Both of those drivers in the round of 12. Corey Wharton looks on in 3rd place on that lead lap, hoping that maybe these drivers cause some kind of caution, because then we would go into an overtime situation. Maybe that's where Wharton can take down Dalton Tucker. Engel to the top side. Number 4 of Schroeder to the bottom. Schroeder drifts up the track. The 29 of Engel gives room. And here comes Corey Wharton on the lead lap. Pay attention to this battle now. Chad Engel a lap down. Craig Schroeder in the 4. Also a lap down. Corey Wharton in the 20 on the lead lap. Will Schroeder give room if Wharton can get a run? Will Wharton even make a move if he gets a run? It looks like the answer to both of those questions are going to be a no. Dalton Tucker down the back straightaway. He's opened the gap to 9.5 seconds nearly. And what a race for the 24 team. Started 15th, climbed his way up through the pack. And these are no slouches, guys. I know it almost looks like he's playing on easy mode, but these are some very good racers that he is racing against. White flag in the air. Dalton Tucker one more lap around, and he will be the king of Las Vegas. So he's got to sneak around one more lapped car. That's the 95 of Brian Powell right there. The all-black car with the red trim. And he will do it. And coming to the checkered flag, Dalton Tucker going to be your race winner here tonight. Bruce Ackerman coming off of turn 4. He will finish 2nd. And Corey Wharton in turns 3 and 4 right now will come away 3rd. Drayton Cook in 4th. Scott Bellum should finish 5th. And Todd Slauson, we talked about him being in 9th. He's going to move all the way up to 6th. A great finish for the 22 team. And that will do it. Dalton Tucker, your race winner here tonight. His 2nd in a row. Great job for the 24 team. So a great win for Dalton Tucker in the 24 team, and an even better burnout right there. Couple donuts, a couple burnouts. Tucker showing us that he had plenty left in the tank. It was not going to be a fuel mileage race by any stretch of the imagination. And doing one more lap for the crowd here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. What a great scene that is. The 24 DuPont machine out there in victory lane once again. 104 of the 170 laps led, including a stage 2 win and a stage 3 and the final race win for Dalton Tucker. And that's got to feel good for the 24 team heading into a Charlotte Roval in 2 weeks' time. Dalton Tucker's going to burn it down for us here tonight. So let's go through the rest of the results here in the NORA B Series round of 12. Dalton Tucker, your race winner in the number 24 machine. In second place is Bruce Ackerman in the 69. Started on the pole here tonight and had a really good run. Finishes 9.5 seconds down, but definitely nothing to shake his head at. And a very good run for points for Mr. Ackerman. So watch out for the 69 as this season progresses. Corey Wharton with a great finish, third place here. And we head to the road course next. I know Wharton, one of those big road course fans. So be on the lookout for him when we head to the Roval. Drayton Cook in the 89, he comes away fourth. Scott Bellum with the top 5, he finishes in 5th. Todd Slauson in the number 22 machine, he comes away 6th. And a great finish for Slauson. We talked about him being in 9th and then moving further and further on up. Comes all the way up to 6th. Ryan Kendrick in the 00 Vans machine finishes 7th. Craig Schroeder in the number 4 finishes 8th. 9th place goes to the 98 of Tim Averill. We saw some cheers for him in the chat as well. And Chad Engel in the 29 comes away 10th. Further on down your results, Brian Powell comes away 11th. Trevor Apollo got back on the track after an incident earlier. We, again, don't know quite what happened. We saw him disappear, head to the garage, and then kind of show back up. But Apollo, a good job of working his way back to only a 5 laps down and getting as many points as possible. Sean Briscoe comes away 13th, and we saw him lose a tire was our best guess, and that was a really tough break for the 36, who was in the lead, running very strong, and really looked like the key challenger to Dalton Tucker in the 2014, but Mr. Briscoe ends up finishing 13th. Matthew Moniak finishes 14th. You saw him get up into the wall, and that was a tough break for him. Blade Timmons pulled it behind the wall early. He finished 15th. Matthew George did so as well, finishing 16th. And Justin White, rounding out your field, he finishes 17th. So that will just about do it for all of us up here in the booth. We hope that you guys enjoyed the race down on the ground level. It was definitely a fun race to call and a good race to set everything up for the rest of the season. Like we mentioned, we do have the race at the Roval coming up, and then let's go through those the rest of the way. There are a total of 5 races left. The Roval will round out the round of 12. Kansas, Texas, and Martinsville make up the round of 8. And then Championship Night heads to Phoenix with the open dogleg, and that should be a good one. 2 relatively short tracks to round out the season. That's kind of interesting right there, having Martinsville followed up by Phoenix. So good looking finish. Ready to bring it to you guys here in the NORA B series. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. That was a blast. Only 2 cautions, a lot of green flag laps, and a lot of good racing. If you did enjoy and you want to tune in next time, not next week, but the following week, tune in, same time, same place, and we'll have some more racing action for you here on the J Deadlift Broadcast Network. That's going to do it for us here at Las Vegas. Hope you guys are all staying safe, staying cool. We'll talk to you all again soon. Until then, peace and take it easy.